Again, appreciate everyone being here. We'll open with a little bit different, some different remarks here. Over the weekend, we had an NDSU football player, a team member, make a very poor decision, very bad decision. Jaden Pickett, linebacker, has been dismissed from the team. Being a student athlete at NDSU, comes with high expectations, easily understood standards, and obviously he violated the student code of conduct. And was not representing the program nor the university in a first-class manner. I do want to appreciate Fargo Police Department, their communication, their diligency with the case and the manner which they handled things, and we're really appreciative of them. I will take a couple questions on that topic, but not until we get to the game review of Tennessee State. Defensively, I thought we made some strides. Specifically, there was a lot of improvement that showed up with the perimeter, screen game or perimeter RPOs. Our defense was setting edges, and we were building walls, which allows a bunch of active kids the pursuit to get there and effectively tackle the ball. Really happy with the activity level, the effort, the amount of hats to the football. And then, quite frankly, at just 71% success rate on third down and fourth down leads to a bunch of opportunities for special teams and offense. And so I thought they did their part in getting off the field. And then the young guys finished the game, what I would describe as on our terms. High effort, a culture of execution. Those guys kept those guys out of the end zone after a big play. And that was probably my funnest moment of the game. And I really appreciated the effort in keeping those guys out of the end zone. Offensively, it's interesting, right? Twice I've had to kind of walk back my initial emotions of the run game, and I thought it wasn't real consistent. But I thought we were balanced. After watching the tape, there's a great deal of balance there. I think that recipe can lead to some success here moving forward. 6 for 6 in the gold zone touchdowns, 61% on third down. Again, that just leads to more opportunities for explosive plays, which we had 6 of those. 0 penalties in the first half. So to come out at home, emotions are high, the excitement, the energy and those kind of things, and to be, 0 penalties after the first half, that allows for a fast start. When you're clean and efficient, that's kind of the club we want to be. So I was really excited about that. I think and it's cool, right? The defense finished properly. The offense goes out there and we end taking a knee. One of the things you're going to hear me talk about, like in grind or 4-minute situations, is do we score or do we finish taking a knee? That's very important to me, and I thought our young O-line did a good job of converting some third downs there and getting some first downs. Special teams, I think I heard one of the media members make a comment that the defense hadn't been in our own territory until the 9:27 mark. That's in this type of game, because we were scoring touchdowns, that's really a reflection on how the special teams are playing. We had 2 TFL type of tackles on coverage units, which are explosive plays for them, and then 2 big returns by newcomers in those units. And it takes more than just the returner. There's a bunch of guys that did their job, and I want a special shout out to the punt return corners, the guys that were playing against their gunners, did a great job all day. With that, I'll open it up for questions.
Mentioned a little bit, but the kind of roller coaster of first win and then the Saturday night incident. What have you seen from the guys as far as handling that and kind of keep things on track in the youngest part of the season here?
Yeah, I think the only gauge that I'm going to have on whether this thing becomes a distraction or not will be is how we prepare and how we practice. Last night, it just tried like heck to get with everybody during stretch, right? Like football. We got football now. We got football practice here. For those moments, because it is a big deal what's going on. But I think we're going to have to really be able to lock in during meetings, and we're going to have to be able to lock in on the football field. And last night it was an A+. So far, so good.
Not rotating for the sake of rotating on the D-line, but with kind of the depth you had, is it kind of hard maybe not to sometimes?
I'm trying to stay out of these really talented coaches' way a little bit. I think Nick Gazer, I know he has had a good pulse on that for a long time. Guys, he's been here 15 years. Wherever he's been successful. I just think you only get, we want to get off the field, right? So hopefully we're only defending 58 to 60 plays a game. And then for 5 guys, if you split that up, it's just not very much. And then some of those guys are better at other things situationally. And so, listen, we got to get deeper yet because we know the season's long. We know injuries occur. And the more guys that play and can play minutes and meaningful minutes will make us stronger.
One more question, if I may, on that situation. Do you have a predetermined way on how to handle that, or is it a case-by-case basis?
No, there's policy. There's policy in place, and the one thing that we're not going to do is just be a program that's over here while we have a university, a great president, an athletic director that is, crystal clear in the direction of this. And so, to me, honestly, like whenever I've had disciplinary type questions and interviews and stuff, like the first thing is we're going to follow the code of conduct and the rules and the policies that are established by the university. And so, quite frankly, Jeff, not that this is easy. This has been a tough couple days, but our staff is doing football, and I'm taking the blunt or the burden on, as far as it being a distraction for me. I'll catch up. I thought this one was pretty crystal clear with the facts that were presented to us. And if there's a firearm involved, guys, it's just, let's get to the facts of the matter and move on.
You anticipate you're done with dismissals or suspensions? Have you looked into more of the situation, or what else do you know, or what do you share?
I think that's a fair question. I'll take maybe one more after this, but I would say like we're not gathering facts right now. The facts are nobody else has been charged by the Fargo PD. Okay, I haven't talked to anybody or spoke to anybody from that side of things that would indicate anybody's going to be charged with anything. And so right now it's kind of like I'm trying to get with our young guys, and I'm trying to get with some people to educate. That was what yesterday was all about for us in our team meeting, was like, okay, here's what happened, and this is how we're going to leverage it as far as an education platform for our young guys and what not to do. But it's more like stories and rumors and this happened and that happened. Quite frankly, I'm open to listening to this and hearing about it, but I'd like to move on faster than later, but we will be diligent with collecting more data, or more information, I'm sorry.
Your emotions when you found out?
Yeah, it was the young man made a huge mistake. That's not, it's like, he's going to have to lean into his faith, and he's going to have to lean into the people that he has built relationships with to be able to bounce back from this. But you build a relationship through recruiting with guys. And I've recruited Wisconsin a long time. I had a relationship with them. And just initially, it was really sad. On the other hand, I really am thankful. I prayed on it. Nobody else was harmed in this great community, and none of our other student athletes were harmed. And so, you struggle with the emotions of it, but I have to lead this football team, and that's what I'm focused on now.
What do you see in East Tennessee?
Yeah, East Tennessee it's interesting, right? They're on offense. They're a real high tempo team. They have our attention just from that standpoint. They go fast. They have the ability to play fast, like what fast was in 2013, 14, and 15, where people were moving, 100 snaps a game. We've got some really good information from a coach at Appalachian State's a good friend of Dan Larson and Nick Gazer, and he just said they're much improved, and their tempo it can be a threat. I think, on defense, they've got good players on all three levels. They've got all conference kids on this team. They've got preseason All-American linebacker. I think their safety kid is a really good player, Chris Hope. And their quarterback, once again, it's similar to last week. It's probably a little more dangerous as far as tackling and running. Maybe hasn't made as many quality throws, but has quality throws on tape. And then their running back, I played against Appalachian State, and Appalachian State has great team speed. And this kid scored, I think, a 75. He scored a long touchdown, one that you would, okay, let's bring that back and see how many strides it takes between every 5 yards. And so they've got some speed there on offense. Their ball carriers are dangerous. And then just to wrap it up for you, special team-wise, that same running back's their kick returner. So Eli needs to show up again like he did last week. We got to eliminate that portion of the game for them. And I think their punt returner, anybody that comes out and squirts out on a couple, like you recognize it, but I think he's a real quality punt returner. Xavier does a really good job. He had a 40-yard punt return called back last week. The Appalachian State game is I like I've watched that game quite a bit, and the Virginia Weiss got away from them a little bit, so you really value in the first half only.
And Raja?
Yeah, feels better. He's going to be probably in the doubtful category for this week. But I think he's on track to start to work back to where, okay, how strong can it become? And then can he be available for the season? Next week or later this week, maybe at the hotel, if you guys grab me, I'll be able to answer that better. But good news as far as him being doubtful and not just eliminated for the season or for this week.
Tennessee offense, it looked like, they run a bunch of looks. They had 5 wides, some pistol stuff. I think they ran in like a T formation against App State as well. When you have a team that goes and go through that many variety of looks, kind of how do you, what goes into the preparation for that?
A great appreciation for their coaching staff. This is a team that's, over the course of the history of their program, I would probably say they wish they were better. I think this coach is doing everything to create edges. Numbers-wise, formationally. That goes for their punt defense. That goes for their punt. Very exotic on their punt team. Devin's going to have our guys on top of their game assignment-wise. So I think he's just trying to cultivate stress on the opponent through formations. Again, making simple look really complex, and my hat goes off to him. He's doing a good job.
Who are some of the young wide receivers, or what might that do with the wide receiver?
They played last week. They all played last week. Williams is out there on kick return. I think he's got to play a little faster on different types of routes. John Gores, we mentioned that. He might carve out a role here. And then I think Kate Osterman has a chance. But, it kind of is getting to the point where, again, it is what it is. But I can't remember a year when I was here initially where we had 9 guys that were still going to get on the damn plane. And I was like, hey, these guys are capable. I believe in these guys. And so it might cause us to look a little different formationally from time to time as you lose slot receivers.
Part of the more open playbook for Cole Payton, and kind of the Jason Hill, I guess, kind of schemes. Does that have anything to do with Nathan Hayes and how he's looking?
Yeah, we've referenced that, right? Like the ability to use Cole. I think the backup quarterback, let's just get that out there, right? Like from a philosophy that I have is that you need to be too deep at quarterback. And it's been proven here, all right, starting with 2015, to my knowledge, and probably there's a story out there before that. Nathan's progress and his improvement does allow some flexibility in how we would use Cole as a football player, most certainly.
Is there, in all your linebackers, and Grant's talked about it for a month, is there enough basketballs to go around? You know what I mean? Is there enough plays out there for these guys?
Yeah, Jeff, don't give me something else to worry about, right? But I do think Alta Peter's coming on. Stanley's coming on. Ever since Donovan Woolen's gotten here, he's been fighting and competing. And then, I just skip over a guy like Gully who just happens to step in there and start last week. And I thought he played a really good football game. I'll say it, Logan Kopp is All-American type caliber, right? But Gully goes in there and performs at a really high level. Grant's done a really good job. That starts with recruiting, and then it starts with, teaching in the room. And, yeah, sometimes you wish you had more plays to play so everybody's happy about their playing time. But those guys show up and just Alta Peter and Nathaniel just run to the ball every day and just do their job, and they're hardworking guys. And maybe the story will be, hey, here's 2 guys that kind of waited their turns, played special teams, were backup roles, and look what they're doing now. That's going to be pretty cool.
What's a guy like Woolen do? I know it's early in his career, but just the 6'4" frame, maybe a little different than some of the other linebackers. When you get a guy like that, how does that change that spot with what he can do?
Yeah, I think range is important in zone coverages. Length, right? I remember being at the Tennessee Titans, the Texans practice when they had J.J. Watt, a couple other edge players. It was really remarkable, and I was standing back there, and they were doing a zone cover drill, and they were putting their arms out, and it was like their length. So Donovan's length alone, really helps him to be a threat on tip balls, to get balls tipped. seam balls. He has caused balls to be thrown high. And then I think his length also and his speed helps him to be a good man coverage player. And he's got to improve there yet. You know, I think he got beat once in the game in a man coverage situation. But I think, you know, those God-given tools are something that if he leverages with hard work and football IQ, he can capitalize. He's a promising prospect.
Speaking of Kopp, do you expect him and Kubitz to be available this weekend?
You know, it was interesting. You know, we notice things as coaches, right? But like Kopp is running out to the first play of defense last night, and I said, well, maybe a little extra motivation. You know, leg feels a little better. No, Logan's such a tough kid, and I think he did a really good job with rehab, and he looks to be back. Kubitz is probable.
Then you're going to a new spot that NDSU hasn't been before, the challenges that present itself there with a new location.
Well, I think right off the bat, you know, 5:30 Eastern kickoff, you know, a time zone change. It's one time zone, so that's not a big deal. I've been part of going to Hawaii now and then Yukon from the Mountain West. Those things are a challenge. It could be some weather, but I like a good old-fashioned mutter, Donnybrook type deal if we have to get into that kind of battle. We practiced a little bit with a wet ball yesterday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, some weather in the forecast. No, I think it's exciting, right, to go to a different region and for our brand to, you know, the intent is to show up and play to the standard and for people to see that. I'm excited. And their stadium's fairly new, and so hopefully that'll be something that's, you know, a good environment.
That part of the country, is it speed? What kind of football players around that part of the country is it?
Yeah, Coach George last week, you know, Eddie, you know, he had mentioned, I said, hey, where do you guys recruit? And they're real conscious of staying in a 250-mile radius for in-state tuition and so forth. Yeah, there's good skill. You know, Memphis. I'm not real familiar with Tennessee overall. I've never really been there, but I know the neighboring states have all produced a lot of good football players, and so they're in a pretty good region that way. I'm not quite sure. I haven't investigated their roster to see like where they're going to get guys. I don't do that on a regular basis, but I have been around some Memphis kids, and really good skill comes out of there.
Chris Harris had a catch in the opener a couple last week, kind of a veteran guy getting some. What have you seen from him through?
Yeah, you know, he's probably one that hasn't quite had an opportunity. Okay, what is going to be, you know, his flavor, right? Is he a down the field threat? Is he a jump ball guy? Is he a possession guy? If we were going to label these guys, but I think with Chris, it always comes back to, it always starts with his willingness for 2 years or whatever to be a walk-on, you know, to come up here from Texas. He's a very, very good human being. He's an outstanding person, works really hard. He's just a great teammate. But I think it always kind of starts with special teams for him. And so he's doing a good job. I'd like to see him get an opportunity where he gets a chance to break a tackle or make a big play, and then I maybe could answer that question a little better.
Their coach was raving about Cam in his weekly press conference. I know we talk about him every time we're with you, but what's the next step for Cam? He's got, 10 regular season games left. Is there still more there that you guys can pull out of him, or something you can add to his plate, or what?
Yeah, I try to find 8 or 9 situations a day where Cam needs to be quicker, process it quicker. You know, what'd you see so I think just processing really fast, believing in what he sees pre-snap, and then moving through progressions quicker and quicker, because when he does that, that provides run after catch opportunities, right? The quicker we can anticipate in zone coverage. I'd like to see him capitalize this weekend. He's going to have a shot or two. I'll forecast something. I think he'll have a shot or two to make a difference in the run game with a check or two. This outfit is a high pressure. If we put blood in the water, you can anticipate blitz coming nonstop. Okay, and it comes down to, are we prepared enough to recognize, blitzes and potentially hurt the blitz with the right run call or the right play call. And I think Cam's going to have a chance to show us, is he ready to move forward with maybe some run check opportunities this week.
2 weeks, kind of what's your assessment been of Griffin MP and maybe a battle between Jake Rock and Bo Johnson?
Yeah, no, Rock's ahead in that category still. I think we'll still trot those 5 out. It's interesting. Bo had like 10 good moments last night, and then he just stumbles. Meaning it's not perfect. I think Griffin Emping Empey is playing at a really high level. He's playing at a scholarship level. It's another guy I look forward to rewarding here pretty quick. Griff is tough. He's really intelligent. He really cares a lot. I like the fact that he's playing next to Gray. Gray's kind of a calming effect on him a little bit, and they work together well.
New in the running back room, you've said you're waiting for a guy like what did you see last week?
Yeah, Marty has had 4 or 5, I think, runs that kind of show he can make yards when it's really tough. Barika, really good read on inside zone last week for a 20-yard run. I joked with him too. It's like, okay, can you find a way not to get tackled by one guy, on the targeting call? Those two, did a really good job, and then TK showed up with a catch. No, I don't think there's any separation yet. And I referenced the preseason a little bit now, and we take all the games really serious. We want to win them all. But I think that this window, I'd like to come out of it saying, hey, this is the guy that's, we're going to highlight tonight. This is the guy that's in the supporting cast role, and this is the guy that's in this role. And I think they're eager to keep competing. They're really supporting each other.
Tim, how has Toby not have flashed for you, especially since the season has started?
It's kind of like one of those things like recognize the athletic ability and the size right away. Okay, in the wintertime, like, Goose, why isn't this guy one of our top guys? And then, like, okay, here come all the calls, and here come the checks versus shift trade and motions in fall camp. Okay, I got it. He's a little bit not quite there yet, but he continues to improve and to trust his keys and to have a plan. And I think as kids get older, they understand 3rd and 7. The younger they are, 3rd and 7 is no different than 1st and 10, and all they're worried about is the technique the coach keeps yelling at them about. And so I think he's just coming into his own as far as playing situational football, understanding, different surfaces. Is there a tight end? Is there not a tight end? Is there an off-the-ball tight end? And then being able to play through the game plan and play really fast. But he's a gifted guy, and his family, his brother's at Kansas. It was pretty interesting watching his development, and so I'm eager to see if he's got a whole nother level that he can get to.
In your film review, what did you see from the O-line that, because obviously you care very much a lot about how that goes.
A couple miscommunications, not necessarily like there's perfect, right? And then we can make a call and we can apply ourselves to the point, and then we can go and we can still make some yards. Some of those hurt opportunities of being bigger. And so I think if we can just clean that part of it up, where it's the 2 or 3 communications get cleaned up, all of a sudden it looks like 18, 22 yards more rushing. But I'm seeing, conversely, I'm seeing like hip-to-hip double teams. Pretty good vertical leverage. Our pads are under people's chins. I think we're attempting, and playing on the opponent's side of the ball. And we want to see that line of scrimmage in the game. It might not be perfect, but that line of scrimmage has got to move. And I thought right from jump it did last week. And so there were some positives. It probably was more, it just wasn't one of those old-fashioned NDSU 45, 50 carry games, and all of a sudden you're just chewing them up. We were really balanced, and so maybe the run game just needed a few more opportunities. A couple more?
It's a big Minnesota class and the sophomore class, good talent there. How nice is it to have a group of guys that know each other from high school and are now making plays for you?
Yeah, I think anytime there's the positive of the prior relationships is there's comfort. There's ability to communicate with somebody about how you're feeling and in a down day in fall camp, and to be able to reflect and say, hey, I got you. I had a good day. Tomorrow will be your day. I think it's that simple. I don't think there's anything else more to it outside of the relationships and being able to cultivate conversation and share feelings with each other.
This kind of home away in the non-con, do you think that's kind of beneficial for you guys as you get ready to move into the Valley Play mirrors that same kind of pattern there? Do you think it's beneficial for you guys to get that kind of travel routine in early? I've
never paid attention to it until it's bad. And you guys will have to correct me, but what year was it, 06 or 07, where we had away, home, away? Yeah, 07. 07 is like one of my favorite years because, man, we handled that beautifully that year. Those are challenges, but at the same time, you're able to establish a routine. And so our guys, like, okay, it'd be great to be hitting a home game and repeating all the things that we did again so that it becomes, routine. That's probably the only negative to it. Whoever's on our schedule, wherever they're playing, whatever the weather, bring on the competition, and we'll play anybody, anywhere, anytime.
Using a nickel package, is there a slot corner you would have in mind who you would feel comfortable with in that position?
It's been Shep. Yeah, we must have not played very much nickel last week. He played against Colorado quite a bit. Right now, nickel would be 3 corners on the field. Is that what you asked? Yeah. Yep. Otherwise, when we get Crumby back, he would also be under consideration.